yourself?
Very well. Very well, thank you. You said count, save the best for last. That's right.
Yeah, she thinks she's all that in the magazine. Unbelievable. I know a lot of people call me all that.
Okay, it's Ashma. The two girls aren't here.
Yes.
I'm calling him, you know, I will represent.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Supervisors for April 7th, 2026. Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good to see everyone. As you all can see from the agenda, we have a full agenda today. So we're going to be as expeditious as we can, but as thorough as we can. Item number 3 on the agenda, the approval of the minutes. The approval of the February 17th, 2026 workshop meeting, the March 3rd business meeting, and the March 10th workshop meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed have the same right. The ayes have it, and the minutes have been approved. Item number 4. It gives us on the board great pleasure to issue a proclamation today to Lamonti Banquet and Catering. Many of us attended the open house, and it was just fabulous. As I said, I was disappointed that I couldn't stay for most of the food, so I'm going to have to make that up at some point. So leading us in the proclamation is Supervisor Lindsay and Supervisor Thompson.
Board, if you would all step down in front with us, please. No. Whereas in August 2025, began the business venture capitalization to located at 95 Shannon Drive. Whereas this $2 million venture reflects their commitment to entrepreneurship, community development, and investment in offering a premier destination for events, celebration, and culinary excellence.
Whereas this versatile facility can host both small-scale private events as well as larger public celebrations with a building occupancy of 250, and the expansive rental services can include catering, liquor services, a full sound system, and a dedicated area for entertainment. And now therefore be it, and it is hereby proclaimed by the Board of Supervisors of Lower Paxton Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, that we congratulate Ashma, Mira, and Priya on building a premier event venue in the township which will not only serve residents but also the greater central Pennsylvania region by offering enhanced services for celebrations of all sizes and occasions.
With this said, the board would like to welcome you and thank you for choosing Lower Paxton Township to have your venue there. And kudos to the women that started this. I was a small business. So good for you, and you have the men standing behind you that keep pushing you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Would you like to say anything about the venue?
You can go to the there's the mic. Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Asma from Lamonti Banquet and Catering. We just opened on February 14th, and we welcome everyone for their small or big, whatever kind of event they want to host. We also have outside catering, or if you really like Nepali or Indian food, then we have in-house catering as well. Please visit us. And we do have our website as well. Please check it out on Google as well. Thank you so much.
Are you okay?
Okay, well, that was a lot of fun. Item 5 on the agenda is the public hearing on ordinance 2026-01, creating the Lower Paxton Township official map. It is also listed under item 9A of the agenda, an action to adopt the ordinance as well. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our solicitor, Kevin Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
For the public meeting.
Yes, so this is the portion of the meeting where we're going to have a public hearing on the potential adoption of an official map. I just want to kind of go over an outline of the procedures that we're going to follow for the benefit of the public, also for any board members who haven't been through this before. I'm going to introduce a few township exhibits at the outset and make them a part of the record. We will then have an inquiry as to whether there are any additional parties who want to present evidence at the hearing. There's going to be an opportunity for actual public comment during the hearing, but if the parties want to, if any individuals or entities believe that they should be parties to this proceeding, they can get up and state why they believe they should be a party, and then we can decide whether they should be a party or not. And any individuals who actually testify or present evidence during the proceeding will be sworn. This is a public hearing. It's going to be sworn testimony. There is a transcription being prepared. We have a court reporter here with us tonight. Then we'll kick it off to a presentation of information by township witnesses. We have representatives from Michael Black here tonight. If there are any other parties, we'll allow cross-examination of those witnesses, and then we'll allow testimony by any additional parties. The board will also be permitted to question any of the individuals who testify or present evidence. After all of the initial evidence and testimony is presented and the information is presented before the board, we will then allow for public comment. This is not a question and answer session, so the public will have an opportunity to give their 5 minutes of public comment, and then you'll be asked to sit down. After everyone has had an opportunity for public comment, we will then allow any of the parties, including the township, to provide any additional testimony, evidence, information. The board can then ask any additional questions it may have based upon the additional information presented, and then we'll close the hearing. Does the board have any questions based upon what I've outlined? All right. If not, the first thing I want to do is introduce a number of what we'll call township exhibits. Township Exhibit 1 is going to be the affidavit of publication indicating that the notice of public hearing adoption of the Lower Paxton Township official map was published on 2 different dates, March 12th and March 19th, 2026. We'll call that Township Exhibit 1. Township Exhibit 2 will be a 4-page document, which is the actual proposed township map, which has been on public display both on the internet and then here at the township. And then Township Exhibit 3 will be the proposed ordinance, which has been available at the township based upon the notice. With that, I understand we have some representatives from Michael Black. If they want to come forward. Or Michael Baker, excuse me. If I said Michael Black earlier, I apologize.
That's okay. I wear the shirt and everybody calls me Michael Baker. Good evening. My name is Steve Thomas. I'm a project manager and community planner with Michael Baker International.
And Mr. Thomas, if you want to pause there, At this point, what I'll ask, are there any additional entities or individuals who would like to become parties and present evidence or testimony at this hearing? Seeing none, why don't we have anyone who's going to testify or present evidence on behalf of Michael Baker or the township be sworn.
You said your name is Steve.
Thomas.
You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And then is your colleague going to present evidence as well?
Yes, he will.
Okay, well, why don't we have him sworn?
Good evening, Ben Warner, Transportation Planner with Michael Baker International. I do.
Mr. Gossard, I assume that's it on behalf of the township? All right. You may proceed.
Okay, thank you. So yes, as many of you know, we were retained back in January of this year to help the township prepare an official map in support of both the municipal comprehensive plan as well as the active transportation plan that had also been recently adopted. And so we put together the documents that are presented here this evening. Over my left shoulder are a series of maps. And what we've done is we've displayed the information on the three maps so you can see more clearly the bike and trail network, the road improvements, as well as the considerations for future public land. For those who are not maybe in the know on this, the official map is outlined in the municipality's planning code, section 400, and it gives the township the opportunity to identify future improvements or needs as the township continues to grow and they realize that there may be opportunities for community connections and safer transitions across the municipality. So over the last couple of weeks then we helped prepare these documents in addition to the ordinance that's available here before you as well. We did run a 45-day comment period that started on February 16th and concluded on April 2nd. I want to thank the township staff for helping to prepare an online public comment tool that we definitely took into consideration. Some edits have been made and some revisions and really helped to create a community official map. There was a lot of great input from a number of parties in the planning process. And so what we have here tonight is the final versions for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions or if there's any points of clarification, I'll take his lead.
Sure. Is there any questions from the board?
I have a question. At the last meeting, one or two residents, one in particular, was speaking vehemently opposed to a trail or a proposed trail 20, 30 years down the road running across his property. I understand that that has been removed, and could you just explain a little bit about the criteria that when someone does make an objection, how do you decide to either withhold that particular trail or say, no, we're going to leave it there? How was that decision made?
Just going to make a quick note so I don't forget anything. Right, so when we established the initial connections, we were looking at community connections across the township. And through the public feedback process, we started to gain some more insight that we, as the consulting team and maybe even the Board of Supervisors, didn't have about maybe future intents of properties, maybe future opportunities. And so just for clarification, for the official map to be triggered, it would come in when a property is up for being developed. It would not come in when a property is being conveyed. It would be rather when it would be developed in the future or built upon. And so we were informed that some of the properties that we had identified as like, okay, these might be really good connections between transit opportunities, high density residential areas. Some of those areas came to us and said, look, it's really not something that we're looking to sell or develop our property anytime in the future. So we were able to realign some of those connections and remove some of those properties under consideration.
I just have a couple. So the blue that's left on the maps, which blue indicates township-owned land. So all the blue that is on the map, that is only township-owned land. Am I right? Correct. None of the other blues are any resident property, just township-owned land?
Yes.
Okay. Then on the one map, purple means school. And last week at Planning Commission, I did look at it, and there's a purple on Colonial Road in the vicinity of the Progress Emmanuel Presbyterian Church. That is not a school. Do they have a little preschool? They do, but it's not a school. So I was wondering, I did check when I came in this evening, that has not been removed. So will that be removed because it's not a school?
If you could provide the address for us, that would be great. Yeah, we could, or the name of the location again?
It's Colonial Road, Progress Emmanuel Presbyterian Church. And it is purple, and by looking at it, it looks like it's right in the vicinity of your church, because there are no schools on Colonial Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And that could have been a result of how the Dauphin County tax parcels were labeled. Tax parcels usually provide a pretty good land use indicator, and so we had used that as a source of information. So we'll definitely double check that one for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions from the board? Does Michael Baker have additional information they'd like to provide, or?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. With that,
Sorry.
Ms.
If,
Supervisor
if we,
Thompson.
if we do have to make a change to the map, what's the process? Are we able to make an amendment, or if we find out something later on after this process, what is that process?
Yep, great question. So just like a zoning ordinance and a subdivision land development ordinance, the official map, which is an ordinance, can be amended at any time that the township deems fit. You would just make the edits. You would pursue the public hearing process again, just like we're doing here this evening. It would be advertised. The public would have opportunity to comment, and then the board would come together for a vote to amend it. So it can be amended in the future if the township finds that certain components are working and certain components are not.
All right, thank you.
No time frame on when it can be amended. So say 10 years from now. Could that also be amended, or no?
I would.
No, it could be amended 2 weeks, or it could be amended in.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Any additional questions from the board? All right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll come to the public comment section of the hearing. What I will emphasize is two things. One is that the board is not actively considering this for a vote right now. This is a hearing in which the board is taking feedback from the public on the information presented to the public in the official map in the form of an official hearing. The question of whether the board should adopt the official map is later on in the agenda, and there will be an additional public comment availability for that vote. So what I would encourage you is, if you have questions or concerns that you want to bring to the board's attention regarding items on the official map for the board to consider, then bring those to the attention now. If it's a question of whether the board should adopt the official map, then you may want to wait until that question comes before the board later on in the meeting. The second thing I'll emphasize is that if you've heard someone make a comment that's very similar to yours, there's nothing wrong with getting up and saying, I agree with him, or I agree with her. Certainly the board has heard those comments before you, and certainly you're available to make those in a different manner if you want to, but try not to be repetitive. So with that, any public comment? Sir, if you could state your name and address for the record.
John Kirshner, 5914 Palmer Drive in the Meadowbrook community. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, being a professional planner and a local businessman that has the opportunity to do business in the township from time to time, I took interest in the township's effort to pursue the official map as a tool in furthering the objectives, goals, and objectives of the comp plan that was adopted last year. So we commend the township for taking those steps. I serve in the County Planning Commission and had an opportunity to review the work product that was presented, and had a few observations to share, and I just wanted to compliment the professional team at the township. They were very receptive, willing to meet informally, chat about it. They shared the goals and some of the objectives of the official map with us, and we shared some concerns, and I thought it was a a good process and a good example of great governance. So I wanted to compliment the professional team, Mr. Gossert, Mrs. Scott, Mrs. Zerby, for their efforts in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there additional public comment? Any additional public comment?
William Miller, 4311 Crestview. What he said, to repeat that.
Very good.
But in addition to, on the map, there were some areas where there weren't lines, and I had asked the gentleman about it, and they said it is, as they stated, it's fully amendable. I'm still looking at that Goose Valley Road corridor, at the on the Earl Drive corridor. Oh, I'm looking at the Earl Drive, my name, or the Earl Drive what I'm going to call the Earl Drive corridor, the Goose Valley corridor, the Nye Road corridor. We're lacking a lot of east, west, north, south pathways for both ambulation and for people to bike. And being an amendable tool, it can help in the future. When they develop, we have all that development sold off of Earl Drive, all of that. That's going to be a lot of homes. It will be then a prime time to develop these walkways and sidewalks to their fullest extent so people can safely move. I can mention other things later, but this plan is an excellent plan, and it's going to allow a lot of flexibility in the future, but we'd have to keep an eye on it to make sure that the developers or whomever has these parcels is putting in the sidewalks and that they're graded and the elevations are right to include these pathways and walkways. I would like to have seen lines on Goose Valley, but in areas you just can't do a sidewalk now. But that's just some small holes that here and there. A lot of usable space there, same thing on Earl Drive, and in bits and pieces. And as what the gentleman alluded to, being a professional planner, the one thing, again, I feel we need here desperately is a professional planner that knows the mission 10, 20 years in advance. And when these projects come up, that not just the economic development, but the professional planning, that all these things fall into place as we develop this township fully, because we're not that far off. The build-out is continuing. So again, I recommend that we look at a professional planner and include all these items, all these great tools now that we have at our disposal to use. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, can you state your name and address? I just didn't catch it at the outset. I don't know.
4311 Crestview Road.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Going once, going twice? Okay. With that, is there any additional information on behalf of the township that Michael Baker or anyone would like to present? If the answer is no, that's fine. Okay. All right, with that, we will close the hearing and we can move on to the rest of the meeting, Mr. Chair.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Again, let me just say that, this has been an iterative process. The feedback from the public is very, very important. We need to hear from you when issues like this come before us. So thank you for those who presented. Thank you for your comments and your feedback, not just today, but over the last several weeks. Thank you very much for that. As was said, there is an ordinance that we are going to be proposing to adopt. And there will be another opportunity for public comment. So item number 6 on the agenda, chair and board comments. Let me just say that I had the privilege with Supervisor Lindsay and Mr. Gossert to speak on behalf of the township at the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors to talk about the township, talk about a lot of the great things that we're doing here. I always get excited and just enjoy that process because the word, needs to get out more and more about the great folks, the great citizens in the township, and the incredible work that we're doing, our great staff, and that we are progressing in a lot of different areas. So just wanted to share that with you. Excited to always represent the township and speak on behalf of the township. Other board and supervisor comments?
If I may, like I said, John said we were at the meet and greet with them this morning. Again, I do this all the time. I know it's been about 2 or 3 years, but I want to thank the Greater Harrisburg Area Realtors Association for partnering with us, for collaborating with us. They did a lot of work on the Oak Park Trail, a lot of labor that they put into that, and they also gave a $2,000 donation to Lower Paxton Township for the Oak Park Trail. And like we said today, we did a little bit of everything. We talked about what's happening. We talked about the career firefighter program, stormwater and sewer, park projects that have been finished, park projects that are ongoing, and hiring some very vital staff, which you will see tonight on the agenda. So again, want to thank them for inviting us. Mike, did you want to say anything?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Today was my meeting. I am the liaison to the Public Works, and today was my monthly meeting with Director Jaroszlawski, better known as Matt. We discussed the compost facility, and we will be setting up a meeting to meet with the Hodges Heights residents to let them know what our first step is to take care of the Hodges Heights with the compost pile. So we will be getting that out as soon as we can get a meeting to meet with the residents. The new fuel center has been there for over 25 years out at the Public Works building. That is used by police, township cars, Public Works, sewer, fire companies, and the South Central EMS. That is getting ready to start the replacement, and that will be finished by June. This is a sore subject with a lot of people, but a lot of people are seeing the signs that are put up every weekend and every weekend. It's junking up the township on the corners of intersections, in neighborhoods. Last week, our Public Works guys, who should have been out doing public work projects, they gathered over 100 signs last week. So I am asking, please, if you put signs up for your business that weekend, if you're putting signs up for craft shows, would you please, Sunday night or Monday morning, would you please go and take those signs down? We're trying to keep a beautification here in Lower Paxton Township, and with all the junk signs, they're blowing, they get wet, they fall down. So please, if you are putting them up, you're listening tonight, we would really appreciate if you could get them down. We have a new staff structure out at Public Works, because we're going to be putting, well, we already did, put the sewer and the Public Works together. And Matt and I talked, and that structure is working. We hired a deputy director of Public Works and a deputy director of sewer. And that staff is definitely working, and they're doing great jobs. We discussed about the sewer projects and the stormwater projects that are going on. Also, we had the meeting with PennDOT a month ago, and it's proven to be a good collaboration with the PennDOT. I want to thank PennDOT for taking the time to meet with us, for bringing everybody that they did, because now our staff is able to do a one-on-one with the PennDOT, and very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Lindsay. Any other board comments?
Yes, Chair, I got a comment. I received it just now, actually, a letter from a family here in the area, and I'd like to read this letter, if you don't mind. Dear Dr. Stewart, we are writing with the wonderful news that Caden, their son, successfully completed his Eagle Scout Board of Review on January 21st, 2026, and has officially earned the rank of Eagle Scout with Troop 36 of the New Birth of Freedom Council, chartered by St. Margaret Mary Church. We wanted you to be among the first to know, because the achievement simply would not have been possible without the HPAL organization. You saw the project from beginning to end. You know the work that Caden put in, the volunteering he organized, and the care he brought to every detail of the landscape and beautification of the H. Powell building. Your willingness to sponsor the project, to invent the trust in Caden, and to open the doors of H. Powell to him made all the difference. All the difference. We are so grateful. Caden is also a 2-time Penn Live Diver of the Year, placed 4th in the PIAA Class 2A State Diving Championships, and will attend Bucknell University this fall studying chemical engineering. But earning Eagle Scout, though, through a project that gave back to H. Powell stands in his category all on its own. If you're able to send Caden a note of congratulations, it would be a treasure reminder for the community that helped shape him. Thank you, Dr. Stewart, for your sponsorship, for your mentorship, and for everything you give to Lower Paxton every day. I'd like to say congratulations to Caden. I know he worked hard for it, and hopefully at some point we'll bring him in to meet everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Supervisor Stewart.
Mr. Supervisor Stewart, we always like to bring them in and give them a proclamation. So if you could, with Mike, Shelley, John, set up a time that he can come in and then we can give him a proclamation. I'm going to be giving one. It's a family friend to Nicholas Azzato on April the 16th. So I just think you should bring him in and, let him get recognized here.
Will do. That was my thought, that we do that. Thanks.
And my little reaction there was because I'm a Bucknell grad, and Supervisor Shive is a Bucknell grad as well, so I just couldn't help myself.
Glad to have him.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, let's move on to item, I'm sorry? Any other board comments?
Yes, happens to be. I have 2 comments. The first one was, and I'd already discussed it with Township Manager Gossert, but I wanted to bring it up to both the supervisors and just for the public, for the heck of it, because I found it kind of interesting and a little disconcerting. We're covered here by Capital Blue Cross, Capital Blue 365. And when you're covered by certain insurance policies, they have fitness benefits that you can participate in. And typically, most insurance companies offer these fitness benefits at a discount. And then you take your benefit and you can go to local gyms and you can participate in those gyms. With Capital 365 here in Lower Paxton, it accepts our insurance at Crunch, Central Penn Fitness, Planet Fitness, Platinum, and there may be 1 or 2 others that I have thought of. But I found it very interesting when I went to join the Friendship Center, the YMCA, that they do not accept our insurance plan. So 150 employees in Lower Paxton Township cannot participate in a discount gym program through what I thought was a pretty good relationship we might have had with the Friendship Center, because I think we might have with that building. And I just wanted to bring that up, that I was completely taken by surprise. And I hope that we're able to do something to change that in the near future. That was comment number 1. Not done yet. Comment number 2 is a little more serious, because I take this very serious. Over the last several weeks, there have been public comment that have accused us, essentially, of violating the Sunshine Act. There's been words including lack of transparency, 4 members meeting in secret and leaving 1 out. Decisions were being made behind closed doors that the public was not being aware of. And the reason I'm saying I take this very seriously is one of the things I ran on in my campaign is the ability for this Board of Supervisors to conduct its business in public. And anyone that stands at that podium and accuses any of us, but myself in particular, of intentionally violating the law in this manner, I find very disconcerting. So instead of coming up to the public podium with vague accusations and allegations, let me give you just a little bit of guidance and education on what should be done if you do truly feel your government officials have violated the Sunshine Act. 1, as I did last year, write a letter of complaint to this board. Address it to the chair, Mr. John Campbell. Tell him when you think it occurred and why you think it occurred, and that you are disappointed that it may have occurred. And trust me, you will get a letter back from this Board of Supervisors that clearly explains what may or may not have occurred based on your complaint. Item number 2, if you feel an egregious violation of this law has been done by this Board of Supervisors, you file a complaint with the Court of Common Pleas. We will defend ourselves, but we will have to defend ourselves and our decisions to meet very publicly. Feel free to do that. Please hold us accountable for what you feel is happening here. And the third thing is, if you don't understand what happened and you feel vaguely that maybe something may have occurred that you missed because we may or may not have met and you weren't aware of it, email me. My email is kscheib@lowerpaxton-pa.gov. I will be glad to enter into an exchange with you as long as it's not an anonymous email. I will be more than happy to research what happened, to tell you who met, to tell you what was discussed, to tell you why it was legal. And trust me, if it was not legal, I will bring it to my colleagues and to this board in public. Please stop making these public statements of accusations that are not accurate, that disrupt our business, that cause the general public to question our integrity. I personally will not have it, and you, the public, should not stand for it. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Scheib. Any other board comment?
I would like to make a comment. With regards to contacting us, if you're going to reach out to us, please don't do it anonymously. I have gotten mail at this township building, and I've gotten mail at my home, and I can't do anything with it because it's never signed. It shares a problem, it shares an issue, but there's nothing I can do with it because the person does it anonymously. So there's nothing I can do with it because I don't have anybody to reach out to. So if you're going to reach out to us about an issue, please sign your name and provide a way to reach you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thompson. Any other board comments? Okay, great. All right, so item number 7, manager's report. Mr. Gossard.
Yeah, just real quick, this evening, I know this agenda is long, and there's a lot of items on it, but it does accomplish 3 of the top 5 issues or priorities that the township supervisors placed on me. That's quite an accomplishment, I believe, from when I received it to when we were actually getting it done, and I was told that speed was of the essence, so you see some hirings on here this evening, you see the replacement of a solicitor this evening. Those are all priorities that I endeavored on and moved very quickly with under the direction of the board, so thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Gossard, for focusing on those priorities. And as Mr. Gossard said, these are some of the things that we got together as a board. We talked about we need to get done. We need to get done now on behalf of the public. So thank you for the expediency with which you're accomplishing these priorities. Item number 8, planning and zoning presentation, improvement guarantees. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, this evening there are several improvement guarantees, I am going to place all of them but one underneath one motion, and I will remove one because a board member has to abstain from it. But beginning with Sheets Store number 412 is requesting an extension as their improvement guarantee has not been completed, and need more time to complete the as-built plans and need to submit to HRG. They received a reduction for their financials in May 2025. 1951 Parkway West requesting an extension as their improvement guarantee has not been completed and need more time to complete their items as they are completing this project themselves and were not able to complete these items this year. They were established in April 2024. Autumn Ridge Phase 4 requesting an extension as their improvement guarantee still has not been completed and still need time to complete basin conversions, application of wearing course, landscaping work, and sidewalks. They were established in April of 2024. 6753 Jonestown Road requesting an extension as their improvement guarantee has not been completed and need more time to complete this as-built plans that need to be submitted to HRG. They received a reduction for their financials in December 2025. 3990 Sunset Road established a new stormwater management plan for a swimming pool. Meadows parking lot extension or expansion requesting a release as they are no longer wishing to move forward with this project as the financials for the project were too high. Devon Woods requesting a release of their improvement guarantee as complete and all items with HRG has been satisfied. And CD East Middle School Track requesting a release as their improvement guarantee is complete and all items with HRG have been satisfied. There is one more that I will read as soon as these get approved here. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gossard. Do I have a motion to accept the improvement guarantees as just read by Mr. Gossard?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. They have been approved.
Okay, final one is Shadebrook Phase 1 requesting a release as their improvement guarantee is complete and all items with HRG have been satisfied.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the improvement guarantees as read by Mr. Gossard?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions?
Yes, I will be abstaining and have to write a letter to the board and to the residents why I am abstaining. To the residents of Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors, I will be abstaining from the voting on improvement guarantee Shadebrook release on April 7th, 2026. The reason for abstaining from voting on the improvement guarantee is I am a resident of Shadebrook Union Station. I have always abstained from voting on anything that comes before this board in Shadebrook Union Station. Robin Lindsay. This is for the record.
The motion passes. On to item number 9, number 9A. Now, this is the action to adopt the ordinance 2026-01, creating the Lower Paxton Township official map in accordance with Article 4 of the PA Municipalities Planning Code. So we had the public hearing, and now we are up to vote on the ordinance. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-01, creating the Lower Paxton Township official map in accordance with Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, MPC.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Any additional public comment? Okay, Ms. Smith, if we can do a voice vote on this as well?
Mrs. Lindsay?
Aye.
Ms. Shive?
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell?
Aye.
Dr. Stewart?
Aye.
Ms. Thompson?
Okay, the motion passes. Item number 9B, approval to hire Neha Ahuja as Human Resource Manager. Mr. Gossard?
Hi, yes. One of the priority items established by the Board of Supervisors for the Township Manager was to advertise and seek a Human Resource Manager. Out of 48 applications and resumes we received, we interviewed 4 and ended up with Neha Ahuja, who rose to the top, and I'm very excited to bring her on board as our Human Resource Manager, and she is able to start immediately. So that is good for us. Yep.
So I had the opportunity to interview Neha, and look, when it comes to her academic and practical expertise and experience, she's very, very strong. Her knowledge of HR is extensive. I believe that she will be able to drive the process immediately for us to fulfill that need.
And if I can add, just listening to her, she's very organized, and I think that's what we need.
I just had one question, and I think, Mike, you had mentioned it to me when I was asking about this. Did you mention to me that she's bilingual?
Yes.
And were you able to discern?
I was not, but she does speak 3 languages, yes.
There you go.
So trilingual, I guess.
So do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Neha Ahuja as Human Resource Manager?
I make a motion to approve Neha Uhaj for the Human Resource Manager.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? The ayes have it. On to item number 9C, approval to hire Melissa Smith as Director of Engineering. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, we created, if you recall, a number of meetings ago, we created the engineering department for Lower Paxton Township. Melissa Smith, hiring Melissa Smith as Director of Engineering is a benefit for us. She has been working with GHD and has been our consultant with GHD as it relates to sewer. And she'll be able to hit the ground running. She will be picking up a lot of other responsibilities, such as some portions of stormwater, and also working with community development on plan review and stormwater and doing stormwater plans. I'm very excited to bring her on board and begin that process of developing an engineering department in the township that will eventually grow and do a number of different things, to include inspections and categorizing and classifying our roads so that we can start the process of asset management and making sure that all of our infrastructure is rated and up to speed. So, and creating that capital improvement plan to work on all of the improvements that need to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Gossard. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the hiring of Melissa Smith as Director of Engineering. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple questions. Mr. Gossard, could you please, recognizing that as the Township Manager, you do have, through the ordinance, the ability to hire and supervise all the employees within the township. Could you tell me a little bit about how this hiring process took place? It was on March 10th that we created the position. We're here on April 7th, and we have someone to hire. Could you give me a timeline of how that occurred, whether we went out, and just a little bit about how we ended up with Melissa?
Yes, once we established the position, we put a advertisement out. We did not receive any other applications. I don't know if you've been on Indeed or any of the other hiring platforms, but engineers are not applying for jobs. They're happy where they're at. They're being kept and being paid very well in their positions. So finding a person would be is very difficult. But number two, finding somebody who has township experience would have been impossible. So we're very excited to bring her on board because of that reason.
Yeah, and if I can add, sitting on the Sewer Authority, I have been working with Melissa working at GHD. She was at CET, then GHD, for 11 years, and she is highly, highly qualified for this position.
All right, any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, please signify, of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Melissa Smith is hired as the Director of Engineering. Item number 9D, approval to hire Saltzman Hughes, PC, as Township Solicitor. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, a number of meetings ago, you authorized advertisement or authorized going out for solicitor. We had an RFP already created from the last time that we went out, and we basically just changed the dates and used that again and sent it out. We had sent it to 3 firms in the area that I know do very well in this space. One Saltzman Hughes, one Johnson Duffy, and one Saxton Stump. We received 2 applications or 2 proposals or letters of interest from them. One was from Johnson Duffy, one was from Saltzman Hughes. Interviews happened, and we moved forward. So this is a position that does not need to be advertised publicly or out in any papers or any on our website or anything like that. This is a what is called a professional service, and just like hiring a municipal engineering company or anything like that, that is not required for public advertisement or public pervasive solicitation. So,
Thank you, Mr. Gossard. And I'll make this motion. I make the motion to approve the hiring of Saltzman Hughes, PC, as the Township Solicitor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a question. For one thing, I did not sit in on the interview, so bear with me for just a second. Are we hiring? First of all, we're not hiring, we're contracting with, is that correct? This is a third-party contract, not an employee?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and could you please tell me, is Saltzman Hughes a, hate to ask this, but a law firm, or is that an individual?
That is a law firm, and they do have a very, very deep bench.
Okay, and if that is a law firm, were you able to actually meet with the solicitor, the individual that would be assigned to Lower Paxton Township, or will we still be awaiting that assignment?
We are assigned, the solicitor, the lawyer that is assigned to us is a guy by the name of E. Lee Stinnett.
And was it E. Lee Stinnett that you
interviewed.
met with?
Yes, and 2 of his other colleagues, Isaac Wakefield and Sam Weiser.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my questions.
And I did have an opportunity to interview all of the 2 law firms, and as I considered Saltzman Hughes, Mr. Gossard is absolutely correct. There's strong bench strength in municipal law. They have, I think it was 26, attorneys in that space, and very, very experienced. So I will wholeheartedly support, the hiring of the firm.
And if I may add, I was also in that interview, and they brought Isaac and Sam along, and if something should happen, if Lee would be sick, an emergency would come up, probably Isaac would be the one to fill in, who was at that interview, and he has tons and tons of municipal experience.
And when does this contract begin?
Tomorrow.
So, question. So, we're going to approve the hiring of Saltzman Hughes tonight. We haven't talked about, or I haven't been part of any discussions talking about the pay structure, because I know that different municipalities have different pay structures for their solicitors. So has there been some discussion about the pay structure? And what does that look like if there's been discussion?
They submitted that with a proposal, which their proposal I sent out to all the supervisors in my weekly update about 3 weeks ago.
And I have yet another question that arises. Do we need to terminate the contract with our current firm in order to bring someone else on? Does it end up being concurrent, or does it automatically terminate with this resolution? Motion.
It is my understanding that the solicitor serves at the will of the supervisors.
It needs to be terminated.
Mhm.
Sorry, Kevin.
That's all right, Supervisor Shab. So upon hiring of Saltzman Hughes tonight, they will officially become the solicitor. We have an ethical duty to work with them to transition any of the work that we've currently been doing. Obviously, we also have an ethical duty to continue to represent the township on an ongoing basis for anything that comes up in the near interim term. So there's no requirement that you formally terminate the relationship with us tonight. By the hiring of a new solicitor, that will essentially accomplish that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, we have a new solicitor, Saltzman Hughes for Lower Paxton Township. On to item number 9E, action to adopt resolution 2026-08, Workplace Safety Committee duties. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, this is a resolution amending Article 2, Chapter 12, Accidents, Injuries, and Safety of the Personnel Policies Procedure or Personnel Policy Manual relating to the Workplace Safety Committee to better conform with 34 PA Code 129.1005, Workplace Safety Committees, Committee Responsibilities. This is just to update the language per the new, for the changes to the PA code and establishing a workplace safety committee. Right now, just a simple thing is that it's currently called underneath the current resolution, the Employee Safety Committee. We have to, just a simple change to make it the Workplace Safety Committee, so.
Okay, and Mr. Goshard, this is employees in the township that
That's
sit
correct.
on the
Yes,
committee.
it is
Okay, great.
it is a
Thank you.
committee of the employees in the township.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Gossard. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-08, Workplace Safety Committee duties?
So moved.
Thank you, Supervisor Stewart. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Supervisor Shive. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it, the motion passes. Item number 9F, action to adopt resolution 2026-09, establishing signatory authority for the PennDOT Crash Information Tool Electronic Access Agreement. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, this is just a standard execution of an agreement for us to make the person responsible for collecting all that data, so.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, the motion passes. Item number 9G, action to adopt resolution 2026-10, Fire Protection Services. And to present for us, I think Mr. Kashiba is here. Oh, didn't see you.
Hello, sir.
Floor is yours, sir.
Chairman of the board, members of the board. The resolution you see in front of you today is kind of multifaceted, rescinding some older resolutions and bringing once again into light and reinforcing the established Township Bureau of Fire. So in the past, we have seen several resolutions relating to the replacement of fire equipment through the Fire Equipment Capital Fund and some other resolutions that are so noted there. The list of those is not very extensive, but essentially does the same thing, and it talks about replacement of certain number of fire apparatus and and the maintenance of some apparatus. And so what this resolution does is kind of clear everything up now that we are under, and the township has adopted the Bureau of Fire as the primary fire protection services, with myself and the deputy fire chief as the head and professional leaders of that organization. Also, in doing so, in that unified approach with our volunteer companies as well, we have made sure that we have the professional oversight of the entire township emergency services, but specifically the fire service, through data-driven decision-making and centralized management of apparatus and the resources, and the best practices enforced throughout Dauphin County and Pennsylvania and all the United States when it comes to setting forth our directives. So again, this resolution is rescinding the prior resolutions 9619, 9710, 9920, 0911, and 2021-17. It reaffirms the Lower Paxton statutory authority under a township of the second-class code to allow, through the management of the Bureau of Fire, to make decisions related to fire protection services, with myself and the deputy chief as your leaders of that group. Also, under the Apparatus Equipment Management Authority, Section 4, it moves on to talk about we, as an organization, your director of public safety, that being myself, the Deputy Chief Graham, the township administration policies set forth, and the budgets approved. We're authorized to manage and oversee operational decisions when it comes to specific fire-related equipment. That decision is about employment, the assignments, replacement, refurbish, apparatus maintenance, and it goes on, strategic planning, capital planning. Ultimately, also the Bureau of Fire has the authority to oversee the deployment of all those apparatus and throughout the township. So essentially what we're doing here is reaffirming many things, but rescinding some of those older resolutions and showing that now moving forward you have a Bureau of Fire that is led by two professionals, actually multiple professionals, and you will consider those decisions when replacing, altering, maintaining, and all those other things as the township leadership to move forward with any kind of decisions made revolving, especially around apparatus and operational needs.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kashiba. I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-10, Fire Protection Services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just have one question, Director Kashiba. Is there a downside to this resolution that I wouldn't understand, but you could explain to me, or do you find everything an upside?
I believe it's all an upside. It belongs to the Bureau of Fire and its oversight of the entire township fire protection responsibility and the management of the apparatus. Now, there's noted in there that apparatus, it talks about numbers of pieces of apparatus being purchased under the capital plan. That's for now, especially under the direction we are moving with a combination department, that's an ever-moving ball, so to speak. So I don't feel that those older resolutions should be locking us in or should any longer be in service, because they do lock us into a number of pieces of apparatus that must be replaced. Based on the data-driven decision-making that the Deputy Chief Brett Graham is so good at, we're able to kind of, as we move forward, we're going to want this resolution to guide us and be able to make decisions based on that data, whether it's 3 pieces of apparatus that are best used or whether it's 9. Whether it's a pumper versus a ladder truck versus a rescue truck, all those decisions will be made through just a host of references, a host of data-driven, again, decision-making.
Okay, fine. We recently received a proposal request, whatever you'd like to call it, from Fire Resources for a tanker truck, which referenced a number of resolutions, which referenced a number of pieces of equipment. So what you're saying here is this resolution would nullify all previous resolutions that would have mandated certain pieces of equipment and allow you to reorganize what we need under our current situation. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. And Director, with the tanker truck, I just have a question. Will you be bringing to us the apparatus that you would be getting rid of and need to be replaced? Would we be the ones that would be making that decision on the replacements? Because it is residents' tax money that purchases those apparatuses. And with the tanker truck, so that's telling me with this that that's not going to be replaced at Linglestown.
That's correct.
Okay. I always put us, the township largest in Dauphin County, 13th largest in the state, that we should be the ones that are up front. And as we did with the K-9, we used everybody's K-9 for years and years and years. And we collaborate, we mutual aid. I'm just going to speak here. I just feel that the tanker truck being out in Linglestown, up on the mountain, Parkway East, Parkway West, there's not water up there. So can you explain to me why that tanker truck is not going to be replaced?
So I could give you a very 30,000-foot view of it, but again, I'll pat the back of Deputy Chief Graham. I'll ask him to come forward and give you the data mining that he did relative to this, and we'll give you very specific reasons as to why we feel that's not something that is a proper thing to be replacing at this moment.
Okay, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it has been a concern, just a concern of mine, okay?
No, I
Because-
knew there would
yeah.
be some questions related
Yeah.
to it. I believe we're still on very solid ground here, which I think the deputy's data is going to reinforce that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. So we had a pretty lengthy meeting with the manager, the public safety liaison, and the individuals that were representing the Linglestown Fire Company to discuss this very topic. When we look at specifically when the tanker was involved in an accident, we had kind of looked at that previous to that when we replaced the 3 pumpers and realized that, there's going to come a point in time, and even the folks at Linglestown agreed that there'd become a point in time when that piece would no longer be necessary in the township as we continue to grow and the water infrastructure continues to expand. Since I've been here in the 3.5 years, we've added considerable amount of fire hydrants to our infrastructure. And as you know, there's plans to continue to add additional fire hydrants as things go along. As we stand today, just so you're aware, we carry 1,500 feet of large diameter hose, or the 5-inch supply hose, that we would connect to a fire hydrant on each one of our fire trucks. Currently in the township, only 2% of our residents, or 410 addresses, and that's a mix between commercial and residential, are outside of what we could perceivably supply with supply hose. And in most cases, in those situations, we would do what we call a relay pump anywhere, where we use multiple pumpers to connect to a fire hydrant and create a sustainable water supply. So our goal at the end of the day is always to be attached to a fire hydrant so we have a sustainable, uninterrupted water supply. When you start using mobile water like tankers and things like that, there's always the opportunity where something's in a vehicle accident or there's some sort of a breakdown in that supply. So again, not to say that we wouldn't use it, but it's very few and far between when we do. That said, when we looked at the data with the tanker when it was involved in the catastrophic accident, it averages about 60 calls a year. However, only 2 to 4 calls a year could we truly justify that piece of apparatus right here in Lower Paxton Township. So when we looked at those numbers, looked at its the amount of time that actually responded to calls where it was necessary, we felt that essentially at the end of the day the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, and we're in a position where as an urban density municipality, that we felt we were in a good place where we didn't feel it was necessary to replace that at this time.
Okay.
So I have a question. So how do we cover those residents where a tanker truck would be used, and particularly those couple residents, right, where it's absolutely needed?
Yeah, so again, we kind of come back to statistics and speaking on those statistics. The amount of calls that we run in those areas are very low. However, we also rely on mutual aid. When we're looking at managing fire services, it's impossible for one municipality to be completely self-sufficient. And while we're adding career staff and we're making sure things are covered, it would just not be financially responsible for us to say that we are going to 100% ensure that 24/7, 365, we have all of the apparatus or all the manpower that we need to fight a fire independently. So we rely on mutual aid.
Explain that. Explain mutual aid a little bit more.
Sure, yeah. So like when we run a structure fire, our initial response or our initial assignment is 4 engines, 2 ladder trucks, and a RIT company. We don't have that apparatus right here in Lower Paxton Township, so we make up a part of that, and then we call in what we call mutual aid or automatic aid. So we're going to dispatch units from Sweetera Township, West Hanover Township, Susquehanna Township to assist us, and we do the same back out to them. So last year, when you look at our numbers and our call volume, we ran about 2,000 calls for service, and about 1,300 of those calls were right here in Lower Paxton Township. So we actually import or get help from others more than we export it, just based on our call density and where we kind of respond to. So with that said, when we did the tanker, we would call resources from outside. Again, when we looked at those numbers, we export tanker services out of the 60 calls the tanker ran. It was far more outside of Lower Paxton Township than it was inside Lower Paxton Township. And even when I looked and drilled down to the areas where we used a tanker or could have conceivably used a tanker, most of the time our mutual aid tankers actually arrived before our own tanker because we prioritize the rigs that go out the door based on our staffing. So I would expect that when we get a structure fire that we're going to take a pumper truck before we take the tanker because of its capabilities. So that means we then have to rely on other staff to come and get the tanker. So when you look at what that turnout time is, or that time from its dispatch to the time it responds, oftentimes our mutual aid will actually get there quicker. So again, when I look at the totality of the circumstances and we look at the data and look at, is this piece something that we need to replace? We just didn't think that it was the optimal financial move for us at this point in time, or a necessity based on, our other resources. The other thing that I take into account when I look at that is response times, and that's something that the drum we've kind of beat for a while, and how we ended up kind of down the road of career staff is the best thing that we can do for our residents is to respond quickly and get there and mitigate their problem as fast as possible. Again, when we look at the science behind firefighting, fire grows exponentially every minute or every 30 seconds. It's doubling in size. So the quicker that we can get resources there, the quicker we can put the fire out, the quicker the problem goes away. So we want to focus our energy on getting the fire trucks out the door quickly and getting an engine there and getting water on the fire as fast as possible in hopes that we don't need a tanker because we're going to take care of the problem with the initial booster tank of water. So again, are there times when it is far advanced before somebody calls, things like that, where we'll need to rely on our mutual aid partners? Absolutely. But again, I think we're in a really great position. I used St. Thomas Roasters the other day as a great example. The fire truck coming out of Lingelstown that day was on scene within a minute and a half of being dispatched. That unit that day happened to be a combination of a Lingelstown volunteer driver with 2 career staff, but we were on scene in a minute and a half, and they were able to mitigate that emergency before it got outside of the roaster and created more damage for that resident. At the same time, we responded to an apartment fire in Pennswoods Apartments. Again, had an active fire in a bedroom. We were there within 4 minutes and kept it within the room of origin. So to me, that's a win. That's what we're looking to do. That's where we're placing our efforts. And I think we're doing a really great job with our mix of career and volunteer. Again, when looking at the totality of the circumstances, we just felt that this isn't a resource that we need
So you're not going to replace the tanker. Are you going to be purchasing another piece of apparatus?
So,
I mean, not the tanker, but another piece of apparatus.
Sure, yeah, and the previous resolutions that we talked about mentioned 9 pieces of apparatus. You know, we could argue or look at things as we go along. We don't know that 9 is always going to be that number. But even with that said, we ordered 3 new pumpers, and we actually took another engine out of service at Colonial Park and realigned the engine from Paxtonia over to there. Once the new pumpers come, we're actually going to keep an extra pumper as a reserve unit. And that's because what we've seen is, with our call volume continuing to rise, with our preventative maintenance schedule to keep apparatus safe and on the road, with the size of our township, we need to have those extra units or have that extra piece of apparatus to slide in and keep units in service. So yes, we're going to, in the long term, we're going to keep an extra piece of apparatus as a backup.
And what house will that be at? Which firehouse?
That really hasn't been decided as
Okay.
far as kind of where it's going to be housed. Right now, it's in service all the time. It's actually currently running as engine 35, while theirs is in, New Holland, getting preventative maintenance and a couple repairs made.
Okay, thank you. And while I have you at the podium, would it be possible to forward your monthly report to Mr. Gosher so they could put it in our packets? I do read it on the Facebook page, but I would like to have it in my packet.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very
Yep,
much.
no problem.
Excuse me, Deputy Chief. I just want to say, if you can, your report that I read, could you share that with the board?
The one that I gave you a copy of from
Yes,
the...
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think you did an excellent job in that. The data was unbelievable, and it was. I went to check it. That's a Drexel thing, and it's right on the money. So I appreciate the work that you put into that, and you and Director Shiba's doing great work.
I appreciate
Keep it
it.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Deputy Chief Graham. For this one, I'd like to open it up for any public comments. Any public comments on this? On this item? No. This is not general public comment. We're still on this specific item. Okay, all right, hearing none. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2026-10, Fire Protection Services, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. The motion has passed. The next item is item number 9H. Okay, action to adopt Resolution 2026-11, authorizing the execution of a finance agreement with Santander Bank for 5 police vehicles. Mr. Gossard.
Yes, we went out to find banks that would lease to us. Santander Bank, out of the 6 that responded to our request, came in the lowest at 5.09%. We are, the next one was First Government, 5.25%. Total amount is $230,125. And this is for 5 2026 Police Interceptor utility vehicles. And we requested from 9 leasing companies, and we only, which we received 6 quotes.
Okay. All right, do you have a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-11, authorizing the execution of the finance agreement with Santander Bank for 5 police vehicles?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question, Director Kushiba. So the 5 vehicles, the ones that you're going to be replacing, what, do we just turn them back for the lease, or what are we doing with the 5 that we're replacing?
No, any of the leases that we've done previously are lease purchases, so at the termination or at the end of their lease, they become our vehicle. And most of the time, we're taking those units and trading them back in on newer units, trying to keep the idea here is to try and keep all of our police units under 100,000 while they still have a powertrain warranty. So if we can do that, we can also get a better trade-in value for them.
Well, and they put a lot of miles on them, so.
They sure do.
Yeah, yep. And we want them to be safe, so.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, Chief, when we talked this afternoon, I understood why we purchased the 5 vehicles, why we're leasing them. One of the things that you mentioned is that we were going to have to do the installations of the upgrades that are unique to police vehicles, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does this loan amount reflect that?
No, ma'am, that's covered under another line item within the budget. All the equipment to upfit them are covered under a different line item.
Okay, we didn't get any grants for that?
No, ma'am, that's almost impossible to get it for routine maintenance and upfits of vehicles or replacement.
Outfit them?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. All right. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of,
Aye.
okay, aye. All those opposed? Okay, ayes have it, the motion passes. Item number 9I, action to approve application for payment number 1 and number 2 for Coons Memorial Park Court Improvement Project. Mrs. Scott.
Good evening, Supervisors. Tonight I'm requesting the approval of the 2 payments for SLC excavating for the Coons basketball court renovation. Combined total is $184,120.83. Construction is going well and we're projected to be done by the end of April. And that's just in time for our basketball program. I do want to note that this year we have 900 kiddos registered for the program, 85 teams, and 177 volunteer coaches have registered this year. So we're pretty proud of those numbers.
When does the program start?
Mid-May, we'll start our practices, and by June, we're kicking off the league for the 8 weeks.
What's the age limit? Because I'm
15.
thinking about coming out of retirement.
Okay. We got coaching, you can volunteer, you
I'm a
can be a
player.
rep. Oh.
I'm way too old, way too old.
Too tall, too
All right.
tall.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the application of payment number 1 and number 2 for Coons Memorial Park Court Improvement Project?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Okay, any further discussion?
I have a question. Rachel?
Yes.
How close does this bring us to expending our block grant in time before we lose it?
We are very close. We have to spend $219,000. So this approximately puts us right there, but not to worry. We have the M&L contract that we have a payment there that will take us over.
And
So
when do you expect another payment request?
April 25th, when you guys meet, or April 21st, I'll be back here to request another payment.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor of the said motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Okay, ayes have it. Item number 9J, action to authorize an engineering services agreement for Lingle Park Pickleball Project. Mrs. Scott.
This request is to move forward with the Lingle Park project by authorizing an engineering agreement with YSM. The scope includes design, construction documents for 6 pickleball courts and a small pavilion, along with ADA accessibility and site improvements to the playground. We won't be making improvements to the playground, just accessible to the playground. I apologize. Approval of this agreement allows us to develop bid-ready plans and move the RFP process. The total design cost is $52,500, which is part of the overall scope of the project that we have budgeted for $496,600.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to authorize an engineering services agreement for Lingle Park Pickleball Project?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion?
There is. One of the things I found that was interesting when I was reading up a little bit on pickleball a number of years ago, and most people would not necessarily think of this, plus there's been like 60 Minutes exposés on it, is pickleball happens to be a rather noisy sport. Could you tell me, the courts that we're proposing, do they fall within a earshot of residential homes being annoyed by this dusk to dawn popping sound of a pickleball?
I will say yes, Lingle Park is a community park. They generally say about 300 feet distance surrounding. So There is one home at the corner of the entrance to Lingle Park, but otherwise it is not a residential area. I think it would be a great place for it.
I will tell you, Supervisor Shive, there's a development going in behind us, and they're having 2 pickleball courts. And we heard that they are very, very noisy.
Yeah, we have it at Brightville, and they are dawn to dusk, and we have not received complaints. I don't know if the neighbors are actively participating. I shouldn't put it out there, but they are actively used, and I think it's been an asset to Brightville Park. But we do look for parks that have that space that we could have them. So this will be our first and only set of only dedicated pickleball courts. Right now, we have a combined tennis/pickleball court throughout the township.
I just wanted to add, just for the fun of it, because we shared these emails, and the reason I asked about the noise of a pickleball court is we recently had a resident complain who purchased a home close to a baseball field and sent us a letter of complaint because baseballs were coming over the street and rolling into the yard. So when residents live near a recreation, it's very convenient, but it also could be inconvenient for individual residents. And I will still vote yes for the pickleball courts, but I think it should have been noted and has been noted that they're not quiet.
Yes, thank you.
Rachel, the residents there, going back to Lingle Park, they'll be across from Southside. Are they aware that there's going to be some pickleball courts back there?
We can notify them.
I just thought because it is noisy, just transparency, just to make them aware that they are going to be put. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, then along those lines, does this have to be approved tonight? Because the last thing I want to do is approve moving forward with a project in which then we're going to notify the residents afterwards and then find out that we're going to have complaints or pushback. And we've opened the door.
We can wait. We can wait till I notify them.
Okay. I'm fine with waiting, if you're okay with that.
I would make a motion to table the motion that's on the table, pending notification of the residents and any response that we may receive.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, ayes have it.
Thank you. That's all.
While you're here,
Yeah.
could I, just curious, what, Coons Park is the park that has the dog park area?
No, it's
Nope.
cold.
Coons is in Linglestown.
Oh, Coons is it? Okay, that's
Cole
right.
is,
That's right.
Lingle Park is attached to Coons, which makes it a little confusing, but
No.
or Cole.
Yeah.
So
It's like Coons.
that has the dog park. Cole has the dog park.
Okay, so why all of a sudden am I hearing discussion about chairs in the park, the
So,
dog area?
As the park season is kicking off, and we've been doing our tours with the Parks and Rec boards, we have noticed that there have been an abundance of chairs just left there. We counted over 65 chairs just
Wow.
left, along with nightstands, table stands. So we want to clean it up to get the park moving forward, looking beautiful. We are going to be encouraging all the residents to come to the May 6th Parks and Rec Board meeting, where we will be discussing the plans for the dog park for the future.
I'm
sorry.
Has this been a problem previously?
There has always been a couple chairs out there, but there are stacks of chairs coming out now that it's becoming excessive.
So, Solicitor Hall, there was a motion and a second, right? And then discussion. Do we need to withdraw that motion?
No, I think you voted on the motion to table.
Okay.
And the motion to table was approved.
Okay, so we don't need to withdraw the
There's
motion?
nothing you need more to do. It's tabled until it's added to the agenda again.
Okay, all right. All right. So, no, hold on, just wait.
No, I have a question on this topic.
Okay.
Pickleball.
Okay. Public comment?
Do we as a township have an ordinance that regulates start time and end time
For the pickleball?
for pickleball?
I think that's,
If not, maybe that's an option that the board could look at, that from whatever time you start, but you can't play after
Okay.
9 o'clock at night, because I would assume most of your people that are actually complaining are complaining late hours of night when they're in bed, getting ready to go to bed or going to bed to go to work the next day. If you could regulate what time that sport must stop.
yeah, and I'm going to ask
That's
Mr.
just a recommendation to maybe solve this and make it easier on those residents that are going to be actually affected by the pickleball.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you for your comment.
Mrs. Scott, I'm sorry, I know we voted on this, but I have a question. Are they going to be lighted pickleball courts?
No.
Okay.
They will not be.
Okay.
And the parks are opened on to dusk,
Dawn,
so.
dawn to dusk, yeah. Okay.
All right. All right, we're going to go on to the next item on the agenda. Item number 10, public comment. It's been a long meeting. We've conducted a lot of business here today. So I'm going to ask that each person have one turn to the mic tonight. We got a lot done. So again, appreciate everybody's patience.
Eric Kessler, running Pump Lane. This is a good comment. I want to thank the board for fixing the official map. Myself and some fellow neighbors, Ms. Scheib, I think you were referring to my complaint or issue with the map. No. You're picking on me. But my neighbors felt the same way. And I know there's an adjacent, the Masons are here because they felt very strongly. So I just wanted to tell each board member, I very much appreciate you taking our wishes into consideration. Second item, still good. All great hires, and I want to thank you for filling those positions. Melissa Smith, I've worked with for years. I'm shocked you got her. Excellent, excellent choice. And lastly, I just have one simple comment. And maybe tonight is a little bit unusual, but when you have public comments, it's normally at the beginning of the meeting. Is there any possibility we can try to go back to that? It's helpful that people can talk about things not on the agenda and it's over with, and then we can focus on the agenda.
So, no, look.
It's your prerogative.
No, I appreciate your comment. As you can see by tonight's meeting, a lot's on the agenda, right? And what I've noticed is that a lot of the critical issues that we need to address during the meeting, they're like at the end. I believe they should be at the beginning of the meeting, right? So that we can make sure we get, I think it was Bill Weaver, he had to present an employee here,
Right.
a hire. He had to wait until the very end when I think a lot of people are like maybe tuning out. Those things need to be at the beginning of the meeting. So folks can always comment on specific agenda items. They can always do that, right? And, that's still in play. But
It's recognized. It's the chair's prerogative. It was just my request.
Okay, so that's the rationale, Mr. Kessler.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anthony Cristillo. I have a question regarding the hire of the new solicitor. Is it the same amount that the township's paying? Is it more? Is it even? It's down? Okay, that's a question I had. Has the township filed their financial statement audit that was due April 1st? Do you know if that's been filed?
To DCED?
Yeah.
No, we have missed that.
You missed that. When's that going to be filed?
Soon. We are having, with the finance director also taking on the responsibility of HR, it has been a very, very busy department right now, and we have been in communication with DCED.
Is there a penalty to the township for filing late?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Can you let us know?
I can, Mr. Cristillo.
Yeah, appreciate that. Last item I have, and I appreciate your email the other day when you got back to me, and I filed the right to know regarding the HPAL's stormwater fees, and it's now in collections with Portnoy Law from the information I received, that's a problem when we have the chairman of the HPAL as a supervisor, and now it's in collections. This has to get resolved one way or another. I don't have a problem with your nonprofit. I think you do great things. I don't really know much about it. But, you know, I've been speaking on this quite a bit, and I just, you got to see what the conflict is here. We have a sitting supervisor, an elected official, who's the chairman of that board, and his nonprofit owes, and he accepted the $4,800 reduced fee, and nothing's been paid on that. So it's got to be done. It's got to be taken care of one way or another. Now it's in collections. That's a problem, to have an elected official's business. And I understand you said there's many businesses that owe money to the township, in the township here, but they don't have an elected official. That's the problem. And I'm going to keep speaking on it, because it's got to get resolved, or else you can step down as supervisor, and then it's not a problem. Or step down from your nonprofit.
Mr. Cristillo, please address the board.
I'm addressing the board.
Okay.
But,
No, you addressed me. Excuse me. Mr. Cristillo, I'm not stepping down from the board. I'm not stepping down for anything. I understand what you're saying, and you make comments as if it's my personal bill. And I tried to explain to you the extent of that bill and where it came from. It's not even HPAL's bill. Now,
it's a quick claim deed.
Talk and
you got it on a quick claim deed.
Listen
and you
to
got
me.
it for $1. When
All
you
right,
buy a property on a quick claim deed deal, all past due bills carry forward to the new owner. That's what a quit claim deed deal is.
You have any other
You obviously don't understand real estate.
Mr. Cristillo.
If you had title insurance, they would have paid it.
Mr. Cristillo. All right, please, conclude your comments.
So what are you going to do as chairman to make sure that this gets taken care of?
Please continue your comment and finish your
That
comments.
is my comment. What are you going to do as chairman?
There's
You're
a
going to keep
process.
protecting them?
Mr. Cristillo, as you've been told, there's a process.
Yeah, now
that
it's
has
in
to be
collections.
approved, right?
So we have an elected official that's in collections.
All right, are you done with your comments?
Yeah, I'm done. We'll
Okay.
stay on this
All right.
till you step down.
All right, have a seat, Mr. Cristillo.
My name is Alan McCormick. I live on North Lock. I'm sorry? It's on. I have a couple of comments. I can't be here at every meeting because of family obligations I have at home, but I never miss a meeting on watching it online, so I thank you for continuing that process. First thing I want to say is that I came here in January, and I came here a couple of times asking about fireworks on the 4th of July for the 250th anniversary of this great nation. The board has assiduously avoided any conversation on fireworks. I have to accept now that you're never going to talk about it, and we're not going to have fireworks on the 4th of July because we probably don't have time to do that. But I will say that in my opinion, that's a lack of leadership and a lack of intestinal fortitude to not advise the residents of Lower Paxton Township as to why this tradition, many decades tradition of having fireworks on the 4th of July is not going to happen. Next thing I want to say is that there was an issue brought up of replacing David Dowling on the Planning Commission, I think. This board has the authority to add a couple of seats to any board or commission if they wanted to. I know David Dowling. I'd like to think he's a friend of mine. I don't want any of my past comments to mean that Mr. Dowling should not be on the Planning Commission. I encourage this board to consider adding seats. David Dowling is an attorney and very wise, has a lot of institutional information and knowledge on the Planning Commission. He should be there. Simple fix is sometimes we talk at one another, we don't talk to one another. I encourage you to consider that to bring Mr. Dowling, if he's still willing to serve, back on the Planning Commission. Chairman Campbell, at one of these meetings you said there's very little you can do when people stand at this podium and make a fool of themselves or behave in a belligerent manner. And that's not true. You have the power of the gavel. And if somebody stands up here and acts the fool and talks to you belligerently and screams over top of what you're trying to say, you simply ask this gentleman in the uniform back here to have that person removed. Anybody who speaks at this podium should maintain a minimum level of decorum. The next issue is that I'm surprised that you changed solicitors. The last board went through a very serious evaluation of solicitors, and we chose this man and their firm as the solicitor, and it wasn't even close. I think the decision to replace this man, was there a problem professionally? I don't want the answer, that's a rhetorical question. If there's a problem professionally that the attorneys were not meeting your needs, I understand. But otherwise it smacks of being a political decision. And this board should not be making political decisions. You should make decisions that are benefit the board. Finally, I want to talk about one other issue, and that's the issue Mr. Crisilla brought up. I was on the board when this issue first came up. I think it's wrong, and I mean seriously wrong, that we filed the lien against the HPAL property. I understand it's a sewer problem. I understand it's a bill that somebody owes. The township did not follow procedure in adequately addressing the issue of the overdue bill so that the HPAL organization would know that that bill was outstanding when they purchased the property. When they purchased the property, had they known that the bill was there, they could have made an informed decision about whether or not to buy the property. Now I understand from what Mr. Crisilla said that it's in collections. Well, excuse my French, but that's BS, okay? We have 2 members of the Board of Supervisors that sits on the municipal authority. I used to sit on the municipal authority, I used to sit on the Board of Supervisors, and I know there's a great deal of reluctance on the part of staff and everybody in this building to not adjust someone's past due bill because it was set a precedent. Well, I'm telling you folks, in this case, the logical, responsible, reasonable thing to do is to adjust this bill to nothing. And I wanted to do that and ran into a great deal of headwind trying to do it. Technically, does HPAL owe that bill? Yes, technically they probably do. Have any of you been out to see that baseball field that this man and his group built? Have any
Yes,
of
we
you
have,
seen what the piece of trash that he picked up and made a valuable piece of property in this township, helping 200 some odd kids? No, I'm telling you, nothing good can come from a lien on the HPAL property, because somebody could buy it up. What happens if
Mr.
somebody...
McCormick, if you can just conclude your comments.
Okay,
your
what
time is-
happens if somebody pays that lien and then they come to HPAL and say, we want our money? We might lose that very productive piece of real estate that benefits so many residents in this township. And the answer is that the people who on the Board of Supervisors need to get with the people in the municipal authority, and they need to adjust that amount of money to zero, and they need to remove that lien, because it's a basic fairness question. If they knew that lien was, or that amount of money was owing when they bought the property, I would say yes, they should have to pay it.
Okay.
But the ownership of that property was unknown, and therefore we didn't file the proper paper. We, the township, did not file the proper paper.
Again, it's going through a process.
John, I want to say something.
And thank you for your comment.
Mr. McCormick, thanks for coming up. I want to address, because you've addressed us before on the fireworks.
Thank you.
But I want to ask you, as a former supervisor, my viewpoint is more procedural than it has to do right now with fireworks. The topic of fireworks did come before this board in January. It died for lack of interest. It got no motion. When there is not a motion to be made in a positive forward momentum, there is nothing more action that the board can do. Let me just ask to be clear, are you suggesting that we put it back on the agenda only, unfortunately, to not support it again and not have a motion? Because it really was spoken of in January at one of our meetings.
Supervisor Scheib, thank you very much for at least listening. I was at that meeting. I brought up the issue. 3 supervisors mentioned that they may not support it because of safety concerns or some other concern. But there was never a discussion to the chair. There was never a written, it was never on the agenda to take up this item. okay? It was only because I brought it up, there were some informal conversations. And what I'm saying, Supervisor Schreiber, is that the matter should be on the agenda, there should be a formal vote, and members of this Board of Supervisors should say whether they're in favor or not in favor, and even give us a reason why, because I'm telling you, a lot of people in this township do not know that they're not going to have fireworks on the 4th of July. And around June, they're going to start looking around saying, hey, what happened to our fireworks? Okay. And I just believe it should be a matter that's brought up officially and voted on specifically so people know where you stand.
All right.
Thank you.
And Mr. McCormick, I do agree with you. I did want it put on the agenda, but it never happened.
Okay.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right.
that.
Any other public comment?
Joe, sit down.
Oh, yes.
Reverend Alvin Q. Taylor, 1062 Ackery Drive. I was just going to come tonight just to get on the agenda for a future meeting, but with everything changing and the new board, I just sat here and I'm glad I did. The new solicitor, I know them, they're very good. That's the first thing I want to tell you. They are very good. The second thing I wanted to bring up was the codes for Lower Paxton Township, the ordinances of having a business in a residential neighborhood and the equipment parked all around. We do everything we can to improve our property value, but when you have a building trade company in the neighborhood, it's sort of bad. And the other thing, what is the ordinances for open burning in the township? Years ago, about 25 years ago, there was a ban against it. But as recently as last week, someone was burning in the neighborhood, and it really is an irritant to those of us who have health issues, you know. And it's, again, coming from that business in a residential neighborhood. And Ackery Drive, I wish I could invite all of you down to look at what we're living through. It's a living hell down there. It's just one neighbor. And I know he's been reported several times. I saw the police cruisers there the other day going in from church service, and I asked them, I said, is there a problem here? And they said, no, we're just coming down, checking. But there was two cruisers, one behind the other. But there is a problem there, and before it escalates to something that is going to be regretful for everybody, you need to come down and look. What I wanted to talk about in a future meeting, I'm going to talk about now, it was what I addressed last year at this same time, the erosion that's taking place behind my home. There's a pipe there that is inadequate, and when the rain comes down the road, it blows the side of the dirt in. It has already taken the cover of the topsoil away. Now it's eroding out the sides. If you are standing there at the top of my driveway, you'll see the driveway of my new addition is starting to collapse where that erosion is. On the left side of the pipe, there is a sewer line that's connected to the street. After a while, all the dirt in between the eroding pipe and sustaining ground is going to collapse, and you're going to have an exposed sewer pipe there. And I don't know anything about the sewer pipe. But something needs to be done. I'm a problem solver, and I've been working on this erosion problem since before I started working on my addition. And so since the addition, we have had a report that was given to us that was through the township on the HRG field observation report. And their recommendations on the second page are what I was saying to you all along, to put an extension on the pipe there to go down. But the problem of that was that we, during the extension of my home, the renovation, we had a general release of liability that was drawn up from the township and ourselves. And in it, it says on the third part that the agreement shall constitute the entire agreement between the parties hereto. Any amendments hereto shall not be effective unless set forth in writing and signed by the parties. Well, I understood when we were doing the footers and all of that why you
Let me
wanted to make
just
sure.
Notify, you have about 30 seconds to finish your
I
comment,
can
sir.
wrap it up real quick.
Okay.
And so I would say that the recommendations of that would be followed. First of all, to rescind this or do the amendment on this general release of liability. And the second thing I would suggest is that the field occupation report recommendations 2, 3, and 4 of March 26, 2025 be adopted because it's cheaper to do the erosion repair than the cost of the actual report that was done. They sent cameras out there and they came out 3 or 4 times. They opened up the pipe. To do the extension of the pipe itself is only $490 to pipe. But if the township have the equipment, they can come in there and just do the extension work. But I will get on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so how many other people have public comments? One. Okay, I'm going to limit it to 2. Mr. Miller, can you hold yours until the next meeting? Well, if you can just hold that to the next meeting, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, we voted on the map, so. Okay, so I appreciate that. Again, we've done a lot of business tonight, right? So we need to kind of close up the public comment. So.
I'm going to disagree with that, Chairman Campbell. These people came here, and we've already sat here till 11 o'clock at night. And if they want to speak under public comment, I will sit here and listen to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. The Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors. I am Richard Jones, works for District Deputy Grand Master, most works for Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I bear witness to the business that happened here this evening, and I just want to thank you for your commitment in revising that map, ordinance map here at the Lingelstown project, and I really appreciate that for revising that. I would like to thank the gentleman's name is Deputy Nicholas. I think
Nick Garrett.
Nick
I hope I got it right. I was looking for him. He's been working with me for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks, to go over that map and revising that map, and good job. I really want to thank my neighbor, Mr. Kessler. He can give you an earful, but I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And we just want to let you know that you guys are doing things in good faith, and just keep us abreast. The last time we were here was January 8th, when you gave a short dissertation, a presentation about the Masonic Village here off of Lingelstown project. And me and Nick, we went over that from Parkway East to Compton Road, making trails back there, and I really appreciate him taking time out to do that.
Awesome.
But I want to make sure you guys are doing everything above board, and keep up the good work, and just keep us informed and let us know what your intentions are.
Will do.
All right?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Joe Lindsay, 6244 Overview Lane. I wasn't going to speak, but I'm offended by Supervisor Scheib's comment made about a very good business in this township, and that is the Friendship YMCA. Not every YMCA or fitness center is obligated to accept insurance from any company. And I think it was totally out of line for you to bring this up in public. If you're not happy with this, then there's a time and place to discuss it, and it's not in public. If they don't take it, then you go to Crunch, if that's what you want to do. But I think it's a shame that you put a business that's been very good to Lower Paxton Township out in front of the public and criticize them because they don't take your insurance for your personal needs. That is very, very sad. And last but not least, you don't need to lecture us on what we think is going on. We see it. We know what's going on. It's time the 80% of you sitting on this board learn how to be supervisors and understand this is not a pat on the back session. This is public comment, good or bad. And if you can't take it, then find another job. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller.
William Miller, 4311 Crestview. I will piggyback. You guys have such a depth of staff here with Nick, Amanda, everyone here. I mean, sometimes I think we really need to listen to their advice. And I don't think even the public realizes they redid the zoning, they redid everything, and it's all fitting together. And with that map, the one thing I just want you to think on until the next meeting is that we still don't know who owns what. I know, Miss Lindsay, you talked to PennDOT. I looked at the maps again over the last week. Somebody owns something. So I don't want to hold people culpable on Colonial Road where all the logs fall down and the tree and debris is. Is that the homeowner? There's telephone poles there. Some are Bell, some are Verizon. We have PP&L poles. And when you look on the PennDOT maps, even at Central over by CD East, their maps go the whole way up to the top of the hill. There can't be that big a discrepancy. What I'm saying is, we're going to have this official map. We're going to have these trails. We're going to add some trails. We're going to add sidewalks when we do. But we need to know who owns that land, and we need to know who's responsible for the maintenance and the cleanup. I know that Matt has been great. He's picked up stuff here and there. I'm astounded as to his due diligence. That's what I expect from a guy like him. But I'm just saying, this is going to come back to haunt us if we don't start figuring out who is responsible, and we take these roads, what is our right-of-way? What is PennDOT's true width that they can come and take your land and say, hey, we got to make an improvement. We have to add a lane here. They took the lane at the old Cutman's AM/PM and made it a right-hand turn, but the one at Mountain Road on the right by the dentist office is illegal. You get a ticket. So it's not fair, but life isn't fair. But who is going to be responsible for knowing who owns these properties? You just can't I think if they have a pole there, it's their deal. We have sewer right-of-ways we need maintained. All this has to be done, and then it's all going to start to fit together. We have all the basic pieces now, but we start to build and add on, and where are you going to put them? This map allows us that type of leeway. As the gentleman explained to me, I've been to every meeting about it, and it's quite a great tool. It's quite a great advantage. But who are you going to talk to about it? Who is responsible for it?
Have you contacted PennDOT about Colonial Road?
I have. I was told one day, he says, we're responsible from white line to white line. Mm-hmm. Well, then I said, what about the berm you paved where the people walk and ride? That's why I bring it up, because that's where people walk and ride, and there's all this type of detritus that's come down onto it, and it should be scraped back probably another foot and a half to reveal that blacktop. It's the same thing on Rutherford. It's the same thing everywhere.
Okay, so you were the topic of a conversation with Matt and I today, because I asked about the sidewalks on Rutherford. And, when we met with PennDOT, they told us that they stop at the curb. So Matt he's been working on that. Who is responsible? Is it Pennswood in that area? Is it the homeowner? And, because that was one of my questions today when we met, and he is working on that. So get in touch with Matt about the Colonial Road. He has all of the contacts now from our meeting, right. And
I just
see what he can find.
I think he got that big log off of there. At least the one side of the road is open and clear.
Okay.
But I mean, I've had so many dealings with PennDOT, and you noticed. I'll end with this at 39, which is not us, but at the end of 39, they clean those retention ponds. They're required to mow those twice a year before it becomes a wetland. I made a call to a person, and I was told, how'd you get my number? Don't you ever call me again. This is how I was treated at PennDOT.
Okay, well, we had the highest here a month ago, so get in touch with Matt. or put it in writing, send him an email, and then let him get in an email back from the hire at PennDOT, who was responsible
I'm
for
sure
what.
they're hearing
Yeah.
this like Verizon did, and Verizon cut the trees.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to want to just do the due diligence and work with us and establish what
But we
is
have
there.
to try and find out your answer.
Pennswood rappels down that escarpment, and they mow that the whole way down to the imaginary line that goes up the cliff. So they've already established what really should be going on. Pennswood's doing a great job, and it ends with PennDOT.
And he's the sidewalks that you're concerned about, as of this morning, he is still working on that.
I appreciate that.
okay.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm trying. Oh.
Yes. Mr. Purdy?
Jay Purdy, 4731 Duke Street. Is my mic on? Yes, it was. This is a good one. This is Thursday at 6:30 right here. There will be a presentation by the Historical Commission telling everything about the mystery of Newside Cemetery, the mystery of where were these people buried. We found them. But it will be a total coverage of everything that's been happening. And we invite the public here, 6:30 Thursday evening. Also, we have, if anyone's interested in participating, we have our first work session of the year, I think April 18th, the Saturday. Hopefully it's the 18th, but it's a Saturday at 10 o'clock at Newside Cemetery. And happening imminently, it's about to be scheduled. There will be the erection of a 20-foot flagpole that will be lit, solar lit, and it will have a flag at the top of it, and it's going to be the Betsy Ross flag, because it will fly over the graves of, among the 48 people there are 17 veterans of the American Revolution. Thank you very much.
And I'll be there on Thursday, so thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Purdy, is the fence, where are we with the fence?
The fence is our last concern, because we're going to have a dedication ceremony, and if we put up the fence, it looks like it's going to be right in the middle of our
I
dedication ceremony.
understand that. Where are we with the financing of the fence?
Oh, we're still working on that. There's going to be announcements that will be coming up about financing and that.
Okay.
It'll even probably be a little bit with the Thursday evening presentation, but we've got some plans.
Okay.
I'm sure you do. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other public comments?
Julie Lober, 18 Care Street. Thank you for entertaining our comments here, keeping us a little late. Sorry about that. I'll be brief. There was recently an article in the Penn Live that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement was pondering the purchase of the Villa Teresa rest home, nursing home, and I would like to know if the board has any position on this purchase. I don't think it's happening yet. I don't know that it will happen. I would just like to have, if the board has any opinion on
Yeah, and I've
this.
heard that, and we're looking into it. We don't have a whole lot of information about it at all, but you're right, it's caught our attention as well. So we will be trying to gather as much information as possible to see and get the official word, right, as far as what is going on and what's being planned.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much,
All
Chair.
right, thank you. Any other public comment?
But what I would like to share on the Villa Teresa situation, what I would like to share on the Villa Teresa situation is that is currently zoned institutional, okay? And a ICE facility falls under, I want to make sure, an ICE facility falls under an industrial, because it's a correctional facility, it falls under industrial zoning. So it would not be zoned properly, and they would have to, my understanding is that, per my discussion with the planning director, they would have to ask for a variance based on a hardship.
Okay.
So we're just getting information now.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Thompson. Any other public comment?
Chairman Campbell, I don't have a comment, but I would like to amend the agenda before we pay the bills. Okay. At this point, I would like to amend the agenda for tonight. We were supposed to meet in a business meeting on Tuesday, April the 21st. 3 of us will be attending the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors Conference down in Hershey. So I would like to make a motion, we amend the agenda, that we would meet on April the 20th, 2026, in this room at 7 o'clock.
Okay, do I have a second?
Just
Go ahead.
since I don't have much time left, I figured I might as well opine here. I would ask if you're going to alter the meeting date, that the motion be just to alter the meeting date,
Okay.
and that direct staff to publish
Okay.
the
All right,
alteration.
well, then I make a motion to alter the meeting date from April the 21st, 2026 to April the 20th, 2026, and I would ask Manager Gossard and the staff to please publicize that as needed.
All right. Do I have a second for that motion? I second that motion. All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. All right, so Supervisor Shive, payment of bills.
Okay, I guess that will be me. And just prior to paying the bills as treasurer, I did want to make a statement that today I asked our finance director, along with Mr. Gossert, to provide a abundance of documents to myself on a monthly basis as treasurer that go beyond just simple, what are we paying the bills for this month? I would highly suggest that other supervisors, should they choose to, read the second-class township code and familiarize yourself with the responsibility that the treasurer takes on in the township of Lower Paxton, and also that the second-class township code does allow not only a supervisor, but an individual, an employee, a bank, a trust company, or other responsible individuals to be appointed by the board. And the reason that is because this position is not ceremonial. It is not just perfunctory. It actually has a very legitimate, heavy responsibility on behalf of the township. And the reason that I'm saying that is it seems to me that in the years past, it's been treated simply as someone such as myself up here saying, I make a motion to pay these bills. But as a treasurer, what you're really doing, and if you look at the responsibilities in the code, you are taking on the responsibility to make sure that all the tax dollars come in, that you know when they are put in the bank, that you know which institution that they're put in, you know where the investments are. You are making a sworn statement that everything is financially kosher here in the township. And when you are in a township with the amount of residents that we have, and you have a staff of 150, in which the finance department is 5, 6, 8, 10 people strong, it's not one person anymore like it was in a typical old class, second class township, where the treasurer, such as myself, would literally be writing out the checks or walking to the bank. So I just wanted to say that as this develops, I have requested a more onerous amount of documents, and that may come to this table in the future as well. But for now, I am willing just to put on the table that I do have 3 requests for this board to authorize payment of bills. The first would be the checks on demand. There's less than 20 checks on demand that have been requested for less than $12,000. So I make a motion that we authorize the payment of the checks on demand.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, motion number 2. This is on behalf of the Sewer Authority. I make a motion that we authorize the payment of the bills in the amount of $529,135.87.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
And finally, for the Township of Lower Paxton, I request and make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $307,419.72 as presented by the Finance Department.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that motion? I second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Supervisor Shive.
You're welcome.
Item number 12 on the agenda, announcements. Any announcements? Any
I'll
announcements?
just give one. April the 18th, we will, Parks and Recreation will be putting on their Kite Festival at Lingle Park. It's from 12 to 2, and it is a great day. It's a family day. There will be food trucks there. You can also bring your own lunch. The pavilion will be open. You could have a picnic on the ground. Bring your kites. We do have a business that does the kiters, I think it's called, and they will have some really nice kites there. And if your child doesn't have a kite, you can purchase one there that day through the Parks and Recreation. So definitely a great family event if you would like to attend.
I have an announcement regarding the 250th celebration. I've made this previously, and this is for the July 4th day, the Community Family Festival, which will take place from 11 to 1 p.m. But it's also for Memorial Day because that's when we would have the parade. So we need people to help organize parade floats. We want to have a baking and flower display competition, so we need people to participate in that. We want people to run family games and work on promotion and marketing. And also we need nominations for the Spirit of Volunteerism Awards. That is, as I said, for the 250th celebration, which is a two-part. Part of it will be on Memorial Day, and then the second part will occur on July the 4th.
Thank you, Supervisor Thompson. Any other announcements? All right, so long meeting. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this meeting. Clearly, we accomplished a lot of things today, and everyone got a chance to speak during public comments, and that'll continue to be the practice. Everybody will get a chance. So thank you to the staff. Thank you for, again, all the presenters. And with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So.
Roll with the momentum.